Hey guys, welcome to the 2022 off-season series. This is episode number 1, and Gavin and I are out here on a nice afternoon. Went for a quick little walk. Struggled a little bit, just 2 small antlers, one fresh one, one old one. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of trespassing issues this time of year with the shed hunters, so it's hard to say whether or not someone beat us to it. I expected to find a few more, but that's how it goes. I haven't been out a whole lot. I've been kind of waiting, 1, been busy with work, but 2, kind of waiting until the best time to kind of optimize when I'm spending my time out in the woods. And as best as I can tell, both from sightings, trail cam photos, and just historically what I see, I think we're sitting somewhere in the ballpark of 60% of the bucks having shed. Now, I do think that a lot of the bigger antlers have fallen into that 60%. A lot of times the bigger deer shed early in my experience, but still only at 60%, so there's still a decent amount of deer still holding. But these next couple weeks, I'm gonna start to spend a little more time out here. As you can see, we finally got the warm weather to melt all the snow off. So you can expect seeing a lot more shed hunting coming up. We'll focus the off-season series around that and dive into a lot of topics such as scouting, land management, habitat improvement, take a look at everything from a little more educational aspect and go more in depth than we are able to during the course of the hunting season. This week's episode, we're going to join both Owen and Caleb. Caleb's been busy with the chainsaw trying to improve the habitat on a property he manages, and Owen's going to kind of talk about the why of that project and how what Caleb's doing is really going to change that property and make it one, just more usable for the deer, but also better from a hunting standpoint. So on next week's episode, we're going to dive into postseason scouting and just scouting a new property in general. A few of us on the team have gained access to some new properties, so we're going to dive into that, start big picture, but also just try to learn the properties by putting boots on the ground. So that'll be kind of fun. We'll bring that to you guys next week as we start to spend more time on these properties. And anything else you guys want to see this off season, this spring, going into the summer, any topics you want us to cover, leave us a comment and let us know. We'd be happy to try to accommodate anything you guys are wanting to watch and wanting to learn about. We're looking forward to the off season beginning. It's of course a year-round project, hunting these deer, so lots to get done in a short amount of time, but we're looking forward to it. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next Monday.
All right, guys, welcome back to a new season of the off season as we kick this off here today. Before we get into today's project, I'll just tell you, kind of catch you up to speed where we left off and what we've done since we've been away. You know, I finished up that late season buckless there. I didn't get a buck in the late muzzleloader season, and I had some doe harvest that we wanted to take care of. So we did get to that. I had 3 different farms I wanted to target. This was one of those farms, and I wanted to take about 10 does off this. And I had another farm, the new farm you guys know, where I shot that Stickers buck. I wanted to take about 20 off that. That was a problem farm for growing beans and different things on it, so I knew we needed to take some deer off that. So we ended up with about 4 days of hunting. I think we took out about 24 does, so just a little short of the goal, but overall it was a success, and I think we got the numbers where we need them. This farm has always been in check as far as the numbers. I've been here, I think this is the 6th year, so this farm's in pretty good control. Some of those other ones, you know, we had to do something to reduce the numbers, but that's been successful. So we got that done, and now we're moving on to the habitat stuff and the stuff that I really love to do in the off season. So some questions I get quite often, I've seen other people talk about this too, is these cedar patches. These start out, of course, as pretty sparse, and eventually as they mature, they get thicker and thicker, and you get to a point where you've got what we've got here, which when it gets this thick, it really cuts down on the usage, the bedding, all that stuff. So we're going to talk about today what you can do about that, and you're going to hear me talk a lot about diversity as we get into all this management stuff. When I look back over the 20 years I've been in Iowa, I've had, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 farms. And the thing I look at with, you know, I evaluate all those farms, and the ones that were the best, I always go back to, why was this farm so good? And it was always diverse. It had a lot of different things. So I don't want all of anything, you know, I don't want all cedars, all CRP, all tillable. you want a diversity of all that stuff. Those are always the best farms. So this is no different with these cedar patches, and talk about some different things we can do with them. Like I said, they get so thick and the understory is so intertwined with limbs that, you know, the deer can't even move through it, let alone us. So one of the things that we can do in here is go, if you want to promote bedding, you can go through and limb these trees so they can walk in through it. The usage is going to go up, and it's going to promote bedding. I was watching or paying attention last year. I walked through when we had snow on the ground, and I was looking for where the deer were bedding through all of my cover, you know, hardwoods, TSI stuff. And most of the beds that I would assume were buck beds, single beds, and sometimes, you know, several beds, but large beds, were under cedar trees. The ones that didn't have limbs down low, there would always be a bed on that. And so that's why you want to do this kind of stuff. Go through and you can limb these and promote the bedding. The only problem with that, I mean, that's at least a good start to get them to use it better, is you still have a monoculture of just cedars. It's a biological desert. You know, there's no food in there, virtually no browse unless you have some other trees mixed in with it, and you're still not going to get the sunlight to the forest floor, you know. So that's one thing we can do. And then the other thing that I'm going to do too, in addition to that, I'm going to do the limbing where it makes sense, where they're going to want to bed anyway, and you keep that cover. The other thing I'm going to do is just go and thin the stand, maybe take out 30 to 50% of those cedars where you can open that back up and get that diversity back. So we want that grass in there, we want some shrubs to start, the oak regeneration, and you can't get that unless you get that sunlight to the forest floor. So I've got one other place I want to go show you that's more sparse and thinned out, just naturally, because, you know, that's kind of where it starts, and then eventually it just keeps getting thicker and thicker. So we'll go show you that as well. But I'll show you some of this stuff and what we can do with it here real quick. Guys, anytime you see cedars like this where these lower branches are dead, you know they're not getting the sunlight to them. Those are going to be the ones I'm going to target as far as probably popping those trees out, or doing what Caleb Greiner's been doing a lot of here recently. You guys that don't know Caleb well, he's a wealth of knowledge for a young guy. So he's been doing a lot of this stuff right here and trimming these right here. You want to trim them up about 4 feet, I think. The ones that I seen the beds under, you know, there was no limbs for that first 3 or 4 feet. And that's what I would do with these if you want to keep the tree. Trim those up about 3 or 4 feet, and you can see how thick these are. I mean, there's no wonder there's no usage here. You look, there's virtually no trails through this. All the traffic's right down this road I created right here, which is another good point too. You can create a heck of a funnel through these, but I mean, you want them to use the whole thing, at least I do. But if you were just after a funnel, I mean, you could use these roads through them as well. But that's what Caleb's been doing, and I think that's going to really enhance the bedding in those areas.
So I'm thinking like quarter acre, and then another quarter acre over there. This tree I'm keeping thick, this tree I'm keeping thick on this side only.
And the trail's going to be huge.
It's going to be between these two trees. Good big trail right here. Well, I'm keeping this, like right here, I'm keeping this thick. That way they have like a little pocket, secluded pocket that they can come in here, bed. And then we'll make another quarter to half acre pocket right here. Well guys, like Owen was talking about, we're in the middle of this cedar thinning project. It's about 60 acres in total of just overgrown cedars, and it's so thick that the deer just aren't moving through it. About halfway done with this south slope here. We're opening up a lot of sunlight in here. There's a few oaks that we're putting sunlight on that hopefully we can allow them to grow and get some daytime browse in here as well. But like I said, we're halfway through here. We've got a bunch of other spots we're gonna do today, so we're just gonna get hard at it and keep on working.
All right, guys, here's a spot I wanted to show you that has that diversity I'm talking about. These are the spots that get used really well. You can see how sparse the cedars are right in here. Bucks cruise this stuff all day long during the rut. They'll get in, you know, bucks and does will get in by these pockets of cedars and bed. You've got some regeneration in here, some brush, so you got some browse and briars coming up. This is that diversity you're looking for. Now as you get down into here, some of this is getting too thick. It could be thinned out, but just so you guys have an idea of what it is that's always been the best for me is this kind of diversity right here, with your cedars being more sparse. So moving forward, I'm gonna have a couple of deer that we're gonna start setting things up on, making food plots, setting up tree stands, making travel corridors. So we'll be tackling all that in the upcoming episode. So that'll be fun stuff that I just love to do. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.